Continue today, the Rambam Zir Milula, when called Maisav, Vetirosei, Vavidosei. All the actions, all the Torah that Rambam, the Avodah that Rambam is today shining, and it's Poyil Yeshua's Bekarev Aretz, and this causes a salvation in the midst of the earth. Which this pasuk actually is talking about Bekarev Haaretz, Eretz Mitzrayim. And this is one of the Rosh Tevisin of the Rambam, Revois Moivsai Eretz Mitzrayim, to make many miracles in the land of Mitzrayim. And in Mitzrayim, in the Mitzrayim of Gvulim of Golders, the Rambam wrote a sefer, which this makes the Yitzias Mitzrayim, to leave out, to get out of the Mitzrayim of Gvulim, and David should help, that we should go out of Golders, take from Yad Mamish, and also with all the Yidden that are in all the Mitzrayim and Gvulim in Eretz Yisrael, and hostage or whatever should get freed, taken from Yad Mamish, and so too all the Yidden B'chalal should be saved. And the main thing is Moshiach now. The last two prakim that Rambam says today to be mechazik, to strengthen the learning of the Rambam B'chalal, especially the last two prakim of the Rambam that speak about Hilchos Moshiach, which this is the purpose of this year. So last week we learned, Be'ezer Hashem, the reason the Rambam brings Hilchos Moshiach in the end of the Sefer, because the Rambam wants to emphasize this is the completion of the whole entire Sefer. When will we be able to fulfill the whole entire Rambam? So the Rambam ends off. We're saying when Mashiach comes, then we'll be able to fulfill the whole Rambam. Now we're going to explain a couple of explanations that Rebbe brings about in more al pi Chassidus. So this is from the Hadrin from Tavshin Lamed Hey. Let's learn just as of Tavshin Lamed Hey. The Rebbe explained. Val pi pnimis in Yonim yesh leimar. Kama beyurim bezeh shekova Rambam mezil halachis when again the Malach HaMashiach v'Beis Mashiach tavki b'sim chaysim sif. A couple of explanations why the Rambam explains the idea of Malach HaMashiach and Beis Mashiach specifically in the end of his whole entire sefer. Kvius Hilchos Malach HaMashiach was Sefer Hayad Meidish and Bavitz HaMashiach Yushlam HaToich in the Kol Sefer Hayad Matachas HaShlibis. The whole purpose of that Torah has a specific purpose. Torah has a specific inyan. Here we're going into more depth. Here we're saying the first beer is when we'll be able to do the whole Rambam when Mashiach comes. Here the Rebbe is explaining not only when we'll in action when we'll be able to do the whole Rambam, but what's the whole oimer? What's the whole purpose? What's the whole meaning? What's the whole goal? Why are you doing? Well, when we'll be able to do the whole Rambam when Mashiach comes, but why are you doing everything? So now let's see. The whole purpose of the whole Rambam is a book of halachos. What does halachos mean? The whole purpose of halachos is to bring about a revolution to change the things in the world that you're doing with them a mitzvah. That the things of the world shall be the way the Torah wants. For example, tefillin. So you have a cow. What's Hashem's vision of a cow? That you should take this cow and shecht it, and then take the part that you can make out of it klaf, and make out of it a sefer Torah, make out of it mezuzahs, make out of it klaf or tefillin. That's the way these things need to change the things of the world, that these things of the world shall be the way the Torah wants it to be. That's what halachos is. To change the world, that the world shall be according to halachos HaTorah. When it's going to be the complete, when will it be fulfilled? The whole idea of mitzvahs, of fulfilling all the mitzvahs, will be when Mashiach comes. Hainu, the nature is actually kiyum mitzvahs. Yos betachlis ashleimus. Kamesha kos of Rambam shas dafka tiyem shadus lasik with erev mitzvahs kahigun. Hine gam baulas mitzvahs ba'ila mitzvahs betachlis ashleimus. Not only mitzvah the mitzvahs, you have the mitzvahs, so then you'll be able to do all the mitzvahs. Okay, but what's with the world that you're doing the mitzvahs? Is the world working together with the mitzvahs? Is the world Is the world being changed? Are you just doing the mitzvahs and the world is staying the same for Grabte Welt? Or the world itself is changing to be the way the Torah wants?
What if they cook is in powder form?
So when Mashiach comes, not only we will fulfill the Torah and mitzvahs, the Yidden, let's say, will do all the Torah and mitzvahs, all the ability to do all the Torah and mitzvahs will return. Not only that, but the actual fulfillment of the Torah and mitzvahs, and the whole purpose to change the world to be the Torah wants, the world should be a Torah world will be fulfilled. Kaleiman, shemetzius ha'ilam tibetzir amatem b'chol pratov shlil asmum shleimus na v'tei v'yava chulu kvi shu tzarich liyes al pi halachas v'din ha'Torah, which means the world will be the way it's meant to be in the most complete way. Not only the Torah is going to be fulfilled, but the world is going to be the way the Torah wants in the most complete way. Like the Rebbe brings over regarding a carbon, that a carbon, there's different levels. There's a level that it should not have any blemishes. The animal should be without any mumim. And even more than that, that the animal should be a healthy animal, a gesund animal. Let's say the pianuach for Ha'ara 18. All the animals and all the different types of oils or wheats are kosher for the menachos. Why? So why does the Torah bring out? It says that for the lighting the meneder, you need shemen lamoid. It needs to be kosher, the most purest level of an olive. You have to squeeze out the oil. But so what the pasuk emphasizes that this is specifically lamoid. But if it's lemenachis, shemen like kosher lamoid. But you don't need kosher lemenachis. When in order to light the meneder, you need pure oil. But if you need oil for brachas, it can be kosher even if it's crushed. So why are you saying all the different types of levels of oil? In order, why does the Torah need to mention all these different levels of menachos? You can have this level to know what's considered the highest level, a nice one that there's nothing higher than it, or in the middle, a regular one, or the lowest level. A guy that wants to merit and have the biggest chus, Yaakov Yitzrei, he will control and force his Yetzer Hara of a yarche v'yodei, and he'll broaden out his hand. V'yavi karbanim menayaf, he'll bring the carbon from the nicest animal, a meshubach, the most praised animal, b'yetzer. Sheba'iseh, I mean, that's in that type of level. Shiyavi mimenu. Had a number of Torah, v'havel havi gam humim b'cheres tzeinim b'chalbein, v'yisha Hashem al havel vel min chasei. Like we see by Cain and Hevel, Cain also brought a carbon, and Hevel brought the nicest, the best, and that's what the Eibishter was happy with, and went down and accepted it. So too, in anything that a person does for Hashem, it should be from the nicest and the best. If you're building a house with Eibishter to daven, it should be nicer than your house. It has to be the nicest. If you're giving a poor person to eat, you should give him from the best, the sweetest from your table. You're covering someone that doesn't have a naked person, you should cover him with the best clothes that you have, not give him the most cheapest garbage junk that you have. So too, you're makter something to the Eibishter, you should bring from the best of the best of the Eibishter. So too, so this is what the Rebbe is bringing in these parentheses over here, that the world could serve the Eibishter, but the world could serve the Eibishter in the most lowest level, the most right. There's no mum. Okay, there's no mum, so it's kosher. But this animal is gehakt. It's kosher by the yevid. I don't know what. Then there's the most, the nicest, the best, and the highest level. So when Mashiach is going to come, how is the world going to look in its way of serving the Eibishter? Not only it won't be gehakt the way it looks like in the time of Kodesh, not only the world will be there to serve the Eibishter, but the whole world is going to serve the Eibishter in the whole world from the depths of the world. To mahadrim and mahadrim. The whole world is going to be the way it needs to be according to the halachas and the dinim of the Torah. Meaning the amazing Mashiach. And this is the reason why the Rambam ends off the whole entire sefer with the idea of Yemei Mashiach. L'cha'ira, the Rambam says what? The Rambam says in Hilchos Tshuva, what's the purpose? What's the peak? The Rambam says the peak is Olam Haba. After me, the Rambam says Hilchos Moshiach is Olam Kaminag Yinoyik. The Machzer is going to return to the Yidden. And Mashiach said, "I come, it's going to be Tchias HaMeisim." But after Tchias HaMeisim, everyone's going to go back to Gan Eden. And this world, the whole world, at the end of the day, what's the highest level? Olam Haba. The Meisim Mashiach is not forever, according to the Rambam. The Ruchnistic world, right? But the Rambam, the Rambam should have ended off the whole Rambam. The peak should have been Olam Haba. He should have ended off with the halachas about Olam Haba, whatever he said in Hilchos Tshuva. Why is he ending off the whole Rambam with Hilchos Moshiach? So the answer is because the whole purpose of a halacha is not Gan Hashemis without a guf Gan Eden. The whole purpose of halacha is, like we say, what's halacha? That to change the things of this world, that the world shall be the way the Torah wants. That the person that exists in Hashem B'guf, that's the whole idea of halacha. So therefore, in a sefer of halachas, he ends off with the peak of halachas, which is Yemaisa Mashiach. Even though it could be that he holds Olam Haba is greater. Right, the idea of Olam Haba, which the Rambam says that's the main, the end of the day. This is the whole schar. The Rambam doesn't mention it at all. He mentions it b'derech agav. He says that the Chachamim and the Navim, they wanted Yemaisa Mashiach in order that they should be able to serve the Eibush in the most complete way in Yemaisa Mashiach. Why? In order that they should be zoichet to Olam Haba. Which means he mentions that Olam Haba is the peak, but he says it in 3 words. But what's this whole arichas? What's the whole last 2 prakim? What's the last halacha? Yemaisa Mashiach.
What? So that's in
Hilchos Tshuva,
which is not in this.
In the end of the Rambam, no. In Hilchos Tshuva,
in Hilchos Malachim, does he bring Olam Haba at all?
He does. That's what I'm saying. He does mention.
Okay.
He mentions B'derech Agav. He says that they wanted Yemaisa Mashiach to zoichet to Olam Haba, but that's it. Then that's halacha dal. The halacha hey, the last halacha. He says, what's the bottom line that he had? Does he end off the whole Rambam with Mashiach? So that makes sense. Because what's the whole purpose of this sefer? The whole purpose of this sefer is what? The book of halachis. And what's the whole idea of halachis? To change the world, that the world should be the way the Torah wants. L'chein siyumay v'chosmei shel ha-sefer hu betir shleimus ha'olam b'zman Yemaisa Mashiach. Tachas Hashem is the mitzvahs v'halachis or pulas and bailam. Therefore, right? Why does the Rambam end off with Yemaisa Mashiach and Olam Haba? Because the whole purpose of this sefer is a book of halachos, which is meant to be for this world, for the neshamas b'gufim, this Olam Hazakashmi. So the Rambam ends off with the highest level of this world, the highest level of Olam Hazakashmi. If he would make a sefer of neshamas, so he would end off with Olam Haba. But this is a sefer of halachos, so he ends off with Yemaisa Mashiach, which that's going to be the shleimus of Torah and mitzvahs, and they're affecting the world. And yeah, Mashiach and Olam Haba, but that's not so Olam Haba. Olam Haba is not to do with this world. That's Rambam, especially according to the Rambam. Olam Haba in by Gufa Gviya. There's no body. There's no body. She'ain Shaykh by Kima mitzvahs. It's not possible to do Torah and mitzvahs with just an neshama. That's when the Rebbe is going to pay the schar for doing mitzvahs, but there's no mitzvahs. Therefore, Olam Haba doesn't belong in the end and the peak of a book of Ayad, Sefer Ayad, which is coming to bring out. What would the end of the Rambam mean? The peak of fulfilling halachos and mitzvahs and Torah. Let's see, Harder 22 here. And what's the Rebbe saying? The Rebbe says especially.
Why is this in bold?
What? Marker means the source. Any.
No, I know, but why is it bold?
That's the way I made it, because to differentiate of each where it comes from, it shouldn't look like another harder.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now harder 22. Now what's the Rebbe saying over there? Let's say that Ramban holds that Olam Haba is an neshama beguf, a soul in a body. So maybe he could have ended off with Olam Haba according to that Ramban. But he doesn't end off with Olam Haba. He ends off with Tafki Yemaisa Mashiach. which is before Olam Haba. Even according to the Ramban, that it's in the Shabbat Baguf, there's a Meisa Mashiach, Tchias HaMeisim, and after that comes Olam Haba. So the Rebbe explains. Yeah, according to the Ramban, it's a Meisa Mashiach, Tchias HaMeisim, then Olam Haba, but it's in the Shabbat Baguf.
Right.
After Tchias, which that would mean, it's a whole different category we're going to see later. Let's see this footnote over here. So the Rebbe says, why don't we mention Olam Haba, at least according to the Ramban, which is in the Shabbat Baguf? But Gam L'Shittas HaRamban, we're in Chayda 22. Even according to the Shittas of the Ramban, this is how Chassidus paskins. Just like the Ramban, that Olam Haba is in the Shabbat Baguf. So l'chayda, there's going to be a body, there's going to be a world, there's going to be l'chayda fulfilling, why don't you end up with Olam Haba according to the Ramban? Olam Haba koyal zman tchias hameisim sheyihi ha'odem beguf. What's Olam Haba? The time of tchias hameisim, when the person is going to be in a body. Kain who? It's the same exact opinion, even according to the Ramban. Why? Mitzvahs beteilis losid lovi. The whole idea of mitzvahs, of affecting this physical world to fulfill the Torah and mitzvahs, the completion of halachas, won't be there. For koyal zman atchiya, this is going on that time of tchias hameisim. The Alter Rebbe says it's in the Geras HaKodesh Siman Chavov. Aval Meisa Mashiach kodim tchias hameisim ein beteilim. So here the Rebbe is explaining why even according to the Ramban it doesn't end off with Olam Haba. Why? Because there's no mitzvahs then. There's no fulfillment of Torah and mitzvahs to affect the world. According to what we're explaining over here, that Dafkin Tchias HaMeisim mitzvahs beteilis and not in the Meisa Mashiach, this answers many questions the Maharatz Chayes asks on the Nidim. But the Maharatz Chayes asks a whole bunch of things. How could you say that in the Meisa Mashiach, how could you say that mitzvahs beteilis? He asks this and this. He asks a whole bunch of questions. So according to this, all the questions of the Maharatz Chayes would be if Tchias HaMeisim is a part of your Meisa Mashiach, according to the Rambam. According to the Rambam, Tchias HaMeisim and mitzvahs beteilis is a part of your Meisa Mashiach. That's a question. But according to the Ramban, that when's Tchias HaMeisim and when is a part of Olam Haba, it's a different world. So all of these questions don't start. All the Maharatz Chayes questions doesn't start. Now I'm just thinking, the Rebbe explains what does mitzvahs beteilis losid lovi mean, and that's actually going to be, the next thing over here. But maybe we could say, that's going to be the next answer. We'll learn maybe tomorrow, whatever. But the Rebbe says that there's going to be mitzvahs. Something that the Eibishter commands is forever. Something that's the Eibishter's ratzon, just like the Eibishter doesn't change, so too his mitzvahs never change. So Hashem that has no shinui, his mitzvahs has no shinui, and like the Rambam says, anything in halachas is forever and ever. So if anything is forever and ever, how can it be bottled in the Meisa Mashiach? So the Rebbe explains that it doesn't mean that it's going to literally become bottled, that we're not going to be doing Torah and mitzvahs in the time of mitzvahs beteilis. It means that the mitzvah, the tzivui, the commandment is going to become bottled. When do you need to command someone to do something? When the person is a davar b'fnei atzmai. But once he's totally bottled to the commander, a hand, you don't need to command your hand to move. It moves on its own. When do you need to tell a little kid to do something? When he doesn't want to do it, and then you have to teach him when he doesn't know what to do. But if he's doing it on his own, you don't need to tell him anymore. In Tchias HaMeisim, the time of Olam Haba, mitzvahs beteilis, what does it mean? Mitzvahs, we're not going to need to tell us to do it because we're going to want to do it on our own. So therefore, it's not a stira between the Ma'amer Chazal al-Lochis, shal Torah sheba'al peh, she'enim beteilim la'olam, and the Ma'amer Chazal mitzvahs beteilis la'osid lovei. Well, like the Rambam says, Dover Borum Avorish Batera Shi Mitzvah is La'adal Ilma Ilam. Why isn't it a stira? On one hand it says it's forever, on the other hand it says it's going to become bottled. What's going to become bottled? The commandment. But the fulfillment is going to be forever.
It's still there.
The fulfillment is going to still be. Right. So now what's the Rebbe saying over here? How are you going to fit it with what we were saying over here. L'chayri could have end off. Here the Rebbe is saying, why doesn't it mention Olam Haba? Because it's mitzvahs b'teilis, lasid lavi, and therefore there's no fulfillment. So l'chayri you could say that the whole word of halachis might be, we're going to see the next thing in a minute. We'll read the next explanation also, Be'ezrat Hashem. But there's two inyanim of halachis, like the Rebbe is going to say that there's halichos and halachis. There's halichos olam, and then altikri halichos al halachis. There's the world's a metzius, and then there's altikri halichos. The halachis is here for the world, or the world is here for the halachis.
World is here for halachis.
There's two ways of looking at it. Torah and mitzvahs came for what?
For example.
Why did the Eibishter give a mitzvah to put on tefillin or something? In order there's a world. There's a world. There's things. And the Eibishter wanted the world to run in a specific way, so he gave them halachas and mitzvahs to where you should act in a specific way, or that there was a halachas and mitzvahs, and the Eibishter said, how am I going to make these halachas and mitzvahs be fulfilled? So I need to create a person, I need to create a world.
So what's the,
in order to fulfill, exactly, who's here for who? Mm-hmm. Is the world here for the Torah, or the Torah is here for the world? So according to the first way we're looking at it, it sounds a shtickle like the Torah is here to change the world, that the world should be, the world is going to fit the way the Torah wants. So what says mitzvahs b'teilis lasid lavi, and that's why the Rambam doesn't end off with Olam Haba, because this second kufa of Olam Haba, the way that Rebbe is learning it over here, means, and you're saying mitzvahs b'teilis, you're like negating the world to a certain extent. What I'm saying, it's like the world is becoming totally bottle. So it's coming also with tziyah, so you can't end off. The Rambam can be a sefer that when there's a person's a mitzvah, he needs to act in a specific way. But when the whole world becomes also with tziyah, and it's just doing the Eibishter's ratzon on its own, but this explanation doesn't fit with what we're going to say right now, because the Rebbe is going to explain l'chayre fakert that halachas are never bottle. Halachas shall teresh abba be'enim ateilim lo'ilam. So it can be that in halachis itself there's two darkis, like the Rebbe Taka explains over there in Beis. There's a dark in halachis, that's halichos olam. Then there's a level of halachis that al tikri halichos el halachis, that it's halachas shall teresh abba be'enim ateilim lo'ilam. Halichos can become bottle, let's say. It's at the level of the world, because the whole world is going to be one with the Torah v'chulu. It's going to become a part of the world, is going to become bottle. So that's not that. It could be that. No, but it's still shver, because the Rambam is saying that halachos are never bottle. Halachos, the Rambam is never going to become bottle. Maybe you could say there's darkest, there's like stages in mitzvahs, b'teilis stages. Okay, let's see the next answer, and then we'll be ma'ayin in this. The Rebbe says, Chiburi shel Rambam, who say Torah shebal peh, Mishnah Torah Torah shebeksav. So it's Torah shebal peh, it's chazering over the Torah shebeksav. Mikol makom liyoyisei dvarim hamizbarim, because these are things that clarify. Below kushli v'lei piruk, and you could understand the whole Torah with no question and no way of upstocking. It's very, very clear how to act. It's not like a Gemara. Halach shall teresh shebal peh, like the Rambam calls it. Yesh b'chshivus miyuchades loy rak legabi shar chelki teresh shebal peh legabi sifri anevim v'aksuvim shehi kamoy achashivus teresh shebeksav. Because it's clear, it has a special. It's special, more important than special, not only in comparison to other parts of Torah shebal peh, but even it's more choshev than certain parts of Torah shebeksav, nevim and ksuvim. It has the chshivus of, it doesn't have, it's more than nevim and ksuvim, it has the chshivus of Torah shebeksav of chamisha chumshei Torah. Like the Rambam says in his Akdama, that Moshe Rabbeinu got ha-Torah v'ha-mitzvah, he said that Torah is the Torah shebeksav, ha-mitzvah is the Torah shebal peh. Torah shebeksav, u'pirusha b'halacha is the Torah shebemishna Torah. What does ha-Torah v'ha-mitzvah mean? Moshe says, I got the Torah v'ha-mitzvah, I got the Torah shebiksav the Chumash. V'ha-mitzvah means all the mitzvahs, the way it's explained clearly, without pilpulim. The way it's in Talmud, clearly, in the way it's in Mishnah Torah. Like this importance is understood from the words of that Rambam. That he says, all the Nevim and Ksuvim are eventually going to become bottled in the Mesa Mashiach. Mashayket Allah is Shaltei Shabal Peh. It's not so regarding halachis. Halachis of Teira Shabal Peh are never going to become bottled. This is what the Rambam says. Halachis shall Teira Shabal Peh have a uniqueness more than Nevim and Ksuvim. It's just like Chumash. So what do we see over here? What are we saying? That the Rambam, Mishnah Torah, is very special. That it's halachas that are never going to become bottled, just like Chumash. Why? Because this is clear. This is Dvarim HaMizmarim, B'lo Yikush V'lo Piruk. V'yishlei ma'ashin in Zemarum is B'siyum V'chaisem Sefer HaHalachas Rambam. This uniqueness and specialty is hinted in the end of the whole entire Rambam. What does that mean? The last two chapters of the whole entire Rambam. Like the Rebbe says in the footnote 29, everything, the whole entire Rambam goes after the end. Which it ends off with what? With Hilchos Melachim u'Melchames u'Malach HaMashiach. Be'inin Bias HaMashiach v'Yemeis HaMashiach. These two parakim that Rambam speaks about, the coming of Malach HaMashiach, Yemeis HaMashiach. Why? Why does the Rambam end off with these in Yom? So in the footnote, the Rebbe says, Neisef ala Tava Pashut, besides for the simple reason that we explained until now. Right. Yemeis HaMashiach shechayzin ukal mishpat v'yama v'kshayim mikayim makrivim karbanis. Ve'eizin shmitin v'yevidus kachol ha-mitzvah samura b'teira Hilchos Moshiach b'reish barik alif hiyakim l'kol halachas ha-teichen sifrei shel Rambam nachas Hashem. The two reasons that we just said until now, from the Pashta Pshat, from Balak Yud Ches, and from Tavshin Lamed Hey. Either that you're going to be able to fulfill the whole entire Rambam, that's in the end of the Rambam, and also it's going to be fulfilled, the purpose of the Rambam, to do halachas of Torah to affect the world in the most complete way. Says the Rebbe, besides for these two reasons, that I was also merumas, and the third reason hinted in the Rambam. Why does he end off with Yemeis HaMashiach, Malach HaMashiach and Yemeis HaMashiach? Kevan shebi Yemeis HaMashiach tizgale hashleimus the halachis shel Torah sheba'al peh she'einu mateirim leilam. When Mashiach is going to come, it's going to be revealed the maila of the halachas of the Torah. The Rambam is ending off with Yemeis HaMashiach to say, in other words, then will be revealed the maila of this whole entire sefer. When will you see the importance of this whole sefer? When Mashiach is going to come. He's letting you know, time is going to come, you're going to see the specialty of this whole sefer, that how this whole sefer won't become bottled and everything else will become bottled. In the Yemeis HaMashiach, the Nevim and Ksuvim are going to become bottled. What's going to last and stay? Halachas shel Torah sheba'al peh. So he's ending off with letting you know about the time when it will be revealed the mile of the whole Rambam. We're going to see how the Rambam is not going to become bottled and everything else will become bottled. It won't become bottled just like Chamisha Torah. This is the Teichen of the whole Rambam, that it's halachis that are never going to become bottled. He's gathering all the halachis of the whole entire Torah. That all of this comes after learning Chamisha Chumshei Torah. You learn Chumash, then you learn the Rambam, then you know clearly what the whole Chumash is saying. He's clarifying the whole entire Chumash, exactly how to act without, so it's clear, just like Chumash. It's all the halachas shel Torah sheba'al peh. And Ahara 32, V'yal Pizeh yesh leimar, shal dei limud Rambam, halachas psukois, memaharim u'mezazim es hazman di Yemeis HaMashiach. Al derech maimer azal. Ein kol agolis alol miskanses el beschus mishnais halachas psukis sha'oz tizgala milas halachas she'em tedim leilam. According to this, explains the Rebbe that through learning the Rambam it brings Mashiach faster. So it's al derech what Chazal say through learning the Mishnayos, which is also halachas psukos. The Gemara is already going to Yonah pull, but Mishnayos is saying halachas psukis. That's why there's a problem at a certain level the paskin from Mishnayos, because you don't know all the explanations. That's before the Rambam. The Rambam is halachas psukis also, and you don't need to know the reason. You can act. The Rambam is saying how you should act. But Mishnayos, if you don't know the oimik, you might compare it from one thing to another thing. But through learning halachas psukis, it says all the Yidden are gathered together. Mashiach is going to come. So through learning halachas psukis, Mashiach is going to come. Why? Because you're through learning the Rambam, you're revealing the maila of halachas, which this is going to bring about the time when you're going to see this even more. You're going to see the maila of halachas of Torah that are not going to be. It's going to bring the time of Mashiach when then you're going to see the maila of halachas. That it's never bottled. Through learning something, that it's clear, halachas psukis, this is in itself is revealing the maila of the halachas, and this is going to cause that it's going to be revealed the maila of halachas even more. How? By Mashiach coming, and you're going to see how everything else is going to be bottled and not this, which is going to reveal the maila of these halachas even more. Okay.
Why is it that Dafka the learning of Mishnah has an effect of to be kanes the
Skanses.
yeah.
So the Rebbe says halachas psukis. It's the same idea.
I know, but why Dafka? Why doesn't it say like the base of Mikdash is going to come because of halachas?
You're saying why is it skanses?
Yeah. Why is it?
So the simple meaning is that when they would want to gather together all the different yeshivas and whatever, they gathered it together b'schus to learn the Mishnah, and that caused everyone to gather together. Mm-hmm. But here the Rebbe is explaining a little deeper what's going to cause the kibbutz golius, which then is also going to be the mekala, the maila of the shleimus of halachas hatera, is in the schus of the Mishnah. So maybe you could also say that Rambam is or whatever, but it doesn't work with Wisconsin. The Rambam is also like makabitz latera shabal pekula. So like the Rebbe actually says makabitz kol halachas latera shabal pe. You can such makabitz. So this causes the kibbutz of kol hagolis.
What sefer you learned?
Tvar Malchus. But you're the one, the last two, Rabbi Smith asked me to give a shir every day in the sefer. This is a sefer explaining the last two parakim of the Rambam and Hilchos Moshiach that he speaks about.
Put it all together.
Hilchos Tshuva is Perik Tes. Hilchos Tshuva he speaks about Mashiach. But the last two parakim, the Rambam in the Tfuz Venetzia from the year Reish Pei Dal, the Shin Yud in the Keiseris, I have actually a picture over here. You can see it says Hilchos Malachim.
Well, is that from Rome?
This is Venezia, Venice.
Venice, yeah.
Umelech HaMashiach. So the last two chapters of the Rambam explains La Halacha. Perika said it's Hilchos Malachim Malachamis. But the Echad Asr and Shnei Masr, he says what's Mashiach La Halacha La Ma'aseh. Kai says Mashiach ben Yosef. What's the Mashiach ben Yosef? The Rambam says there's no Mashiach ben Yosef. La Halacha he doesn't mention at all. Not one word. All the Mefarshim say about it. In the Sefer also. He says Yamad Malach Bebeis David.
He says there's no halachic connection to Haggadah, but there is Haggadah on it.
There is Haggadah, right? But La Halacha La Ma'aseh, a guy is going to say, oh, you need Mashiach ben Yosef to come. Or go Gumorka. Yosef says
Eliyahu Navi.
Eliyahu Navi, so even that, the Rambam says it's not clear, but you don't need Eliyahu Navi to make Mashiach. He says that Rabbi Akiva,
You need a Navi though.
you don't need even a Navi. In order to make a Melech later on, he says, Shal Ayin Aleph and a Navi to make a Melech al Pidin. So that's going to be later on. But he starts off by saying, Yamid Melech Bebeis David, how is he a Melech? And he does Sanhedrin Shal Ayin Aleph for Navi. And obviously, when he's getting up in Zman HaGolus, he says only after that, he's going to do Yaakov Kol Yisrael Leilach Balach Hazik Bitka. Yilcham L'chamis Hashem, V'netzach Chol Mishes Svivov. After that, Bana Mikdash Bim Kami. After that, V'yikabetz Yitchisel. And then the Sanhedrin is going to come back. So here, even though there's a whole pilpul, but here the Rambam doesn't say you don't need. Right, according to the Radvaz and this. But the Rambam says, V'adavar Tzorich Echereya.
And the Ramchal, it's...
Right, to the 1 second, the Ma'ari Beirav. The Rambam has a whole arichas in it. On Hilchos Sanhedrin, he says, "Im Kol Chacham Yisrael are going to get together. They're going to decide." He says, "V'adav tzarich achreya." He's not. He doesn't end off with saying lamaisa. So when they wanted to make a Sanhedrin come back, the Radvaz wasn't masking, and he says that Rambam himself says "V'adav tzarich achreya."
They're trying to make it.
Right. So Mari Beirav, he wanted him at that time, but the Radvaz was then also, and he wasn't masking.
Right.
And he said, if the Rambam himself didn't say, he says, "V'adover tzorech echreya."
They say the Ari came that the Marchuk could have been Mashiach.
The who?
The
Chizkiah, maybe.
no,
That's in Sanhedrin.
I'm talking
Rav Chaim Vital.
the one that wrote all
The Rav Chaim HaKodesh.
the one who wrote the Swarm of the Ari.
Tarizal. They said on the Arizal. Rav Chaim Vital. Rav Chaim Vital, still right. As the Chemet says, "V'kol Talmid Arizal Omru v'yodu Shua Mashiach." And his door, they said that they knew that he would be Talmid Arizal, right? But B'meshach HaDor, they say it was Makubal. But when you say Yamid Melech, obviously doesn't mean a Melech al Pidin. Because you need Sanhedrin of Ayin Aleph and Navi, and then there's no Sanhedrin, there's no Navi.
Moshe Rabbeinu, Melech Yishurim.
But you be sure in Melech, right?
Even though he's really
Yishur Melech is a Moshe, right?
So it seems if you take the statue.
You could say, man, so the way it's explained over here is in the Sefer. In the Halacha before that, he says that Rabbi Akiva, the Melech HaMashiach needs to make Oishus. And what's the Raya? The Mashiach doesn't need to prove that he's a Mashiach through Oishus. And from Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, Sharei Rabbi Akiva, Chocham Gadol Machachim Amid Mishnah Hayav, Hu Haya Neisei Kelev, Shal Ben Kuziba HaMelech. For Hu Haya Eimer Alav, Shahu HaMelech HaMashiach. He calls him a melech, and he didn't have a Sanhedrin, Shana, and Aleph, and he calls him a melech. And also he calls him ha-melech. So it means the anhog of melech. Yeah. He acted like a melech. So too, when he says Yamid melech bebeis David, he doesn't mean a melech al pidin. He means someone that's acting like a melech. Say man malkin abonin, and say also like a certain level of malchus. That's one of the beer. Another beer is, it says that ein ma'amid melech batchila. When you're starting off a new sharsheres of malchus, so you need to have a Sanhedrin Shana and Aleph and Navi. But by David HaMelech it says Ikar HaMalchus Yerusha Lo Levanim Adelim, that you don't need to have a whole Sanhedrin Shana and Aleph and Navi and do Mashiach and whatever, only if there's a Machlokes. But by Etzem the Malchus is Lo Yosser Shevet B'Yudav Mechekik Bin Raglov Ad Kiyav Yishilei. There is a certain level of Malchus in all, like the Marsha says on Sanhedrin, on what doesn't mean David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayim, that the Malchus of David is Nimshach V'Chol HaDeiris through the Rashi Golu Yus Shevabovel. They have a certain level of David Melech, and he uses a Lashon Malchus. So it doesn't mean Malchus of a Sanhedrin, but it has the name Melech. Not Al Pi Din Melech, but it's called, the Rambam calls it Melech. That's why the Rebbe, it's very interesting, whenever the Rebbe would mention this Rambam, the Rebbe never said Melech. The Rebbe said Yamid Ishmi Beis David. Yamid Ishmi Beis David. Yamid Ish or Yamid Adam. So someone asked the Rebbe, the Lashon of the Rambam says Yamid Melech. That's why you're saying Ish or Adam. So the Rebbe said, you're right. I didn't find any girs in the Rambam that says Adam or Ish, but because it's not a Melech al Pidin, I just say Yamid Ish or Yamid Adam, because he's not, when he gets up, he's an Ish, he's an Adam. He's not a Melech al Pidin. The Rambam calls it Melech.
When he gets up.
Yamid Melech bebeis David, not he stands up from the chair. It's a term of, he also writes, Melech HaMashiach Asid Lamed.
Well, the Mashiach could come from
right, in Achanam, it says in Sanhedrin, right. There's two ways. It's a Gemara, the way you write.
Rashi explains the Gemara.
Right. Im hu yiyeh ma'osin shameisu kvar, two gersois, right. And the second gersa is Im hu yiyeh ma'osin shameisu kvar, yiyeh Daniel. And only could go in Daniel.
He'll be
like,
Rebbe,
that's Imin Chiyahu, right. He like Daniel, right. That's the first way. Is he like, who is an example for someone that's like him or like him? but that's Kagoin. But that's the second Girsa. And in Yaakov, it doesn't mention the Kagoin at all. It only mentions the second Girsa. Stamman Sanhedrin.
In Yaakov Rashi.
Yeah, he says who im ye yamai. He says it in Boifen, whatever. But no, but here Pashta B'Shat Yamai doesn't mean. I'm saying it could also mean that.
But it also means just
I'm just saying, let's say it's when I'm so he's going to get up.
He didn't appear on the scene or mamish from the dead.
Yeah. By then he's going to do all of these shlavim to.
You should look at the Bartanura on Megillus Rus.
B'chol doid yishna echad haroim tzidkos l'Yisrael.
Well,
that's what he says over there also.
Bartanura learns like Hillel that the Mashiach we already enjoyed in the time of Cheskiyahu. So. But it doesn't mean his apikoros that the Mashiach is not going to come. But he's learning that, like Bar Kuzbi, for example, he couldn't be Mashiach because there was too much sin in the world. There was too much of it, right? But then how will Mashiach come? If we call a dog is Mashiach. So he says when Mashiach ben Yosef, we call for him, he comes and he dies, and that sort of makes a purity.
In the world, and that's going to bring...
that will bring Ben David.
Interesting.
Very interesting. It's Alpi Drash. Yeah. All right, what's your name?
Mendel Zagwi.
Emmanuel Gentlecore.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, yeah. I know a lot about Mashiach because I do counter-missionary work.
Ah, yeah?
Oh.
Yeah, that's...
So there's a whole arichas over here about Yeshua Noitzeri. A big arichas in the Hilchos Moshiach.
Yeah, I know there's one, I think I saw in it was edited out, but the Rambam says that he himself is the Chayav Misa, but not his Talmidim. So something like that. In the Yad HaZako, it was in the Yad...
that could be in Mishnah 10, but here he says, Af Yeshua Noitzeri.
Af what?
Shedim Mashiach. Fenderek Bebezdin. Actually, Yeshua Noitzeri, Yamach Shemay V'Zechroi. That's original Lashon. The original Lashon that's not censored is Yamach Shemay V'Zechroi.
I can show you David Valley. He says that Vadai Yeshua Notzri Hayab B'Chinat Mashiach ben Yosef.
Who says this?
The David Valley, the Talmud of the Ramchal, or could be he was a master, became a master. But the Ramchal himself says Aram Nenavat was B'Chinat Mashiach ben Yosef. So it's not such a big kasha, but what it shows it was a potential.
Wow, I mean that sounds too cuckoo because the way that Rambam says over here. He says, he says Nerek Bebezdin. And even more than that, he says that this that he's not Mashiach is his whole Metzius is punk farket for Mashiach. Mashiach, Shekol HaNevim Dibru, Shemashiach Goy Yisrael, U'Mashiach, U'Mekabetz Psudeim, U'Mechazik Mitzvaysan. All of these things, Mashiach Yisrael, Makabitz B'Zurayim, Machazik Mitzvayim. This guy did Punk Vakat. He says, "V'zeh Goram la'abed Yisrael b'cherev, l'fazer sheirisam l'shbilim, l'hachal v'atayra, l'adasar avelim l'aved l'kamam l'ad Hashem."
Distinction of
everything, each one of the dargers that he's going to do, he did Vakat.
Through the eyes of Christianity is the Avodah Zarah Yeshu, but it could be that like he compared. I don't know. This is a very.
I'm saying Gemara site it says that he did like. I don't know. It's very weird what this what you're saying, what you're mentioning from this thing.
Yeah, well, I deal with the problems, you know. But in the end, the biggest riot against, and there's a lot of riots against it, but if someone if someone's very evil, it has to have a source in good. You know what I'm saying? So there was a potential. That's all. But it says that we were in Zocha, and it says that he was what's it called, Mekalkel, and you know.
You're saying maybe before he did his Avedis, maybe then there was, but he was a mamzer. Okay, whatever. It's a whole.
No, he says a mamzer. So he compares him to Esav. Compares him to.
It's interesting how even like what's the. He gets okay, so maybe before he didn't have Veda, you know, he was Shimish Lefnai Lefnim, Shemainim Shana, then he Yatzil Minus.
I mean,
so you can say this. So but for sure not after, before. But the question is even before he was a mamzer.
But there's a Maklokus, but some who learned the Gemara Pshuto, he was a Talmud of Yeshua ben Prachya.
You're saying in Soita, Gemara Soita. That he went to him and then he told him about his wife and whatever.
The woman in the inn had nice eyes.
Yeah, Soita, right.
Right, so then it says that he took a brick and went off.
Right. But
the Maisa, him being a Tana of Yeshua ben Prachya, that means there was a he didn't start out as a Rasha. That's what
Right. Okay, very interesting. But why was he? Okay, wait. Why was he out of all the Mashiach, like out of Mashiach, a million other tzaddikim?
Why what?
I'm saying you have so many good people. Why Dafke? He's the B'chin of Mashiach ben Yosef.
No, see, that's the thing. I think there are many possibilities. Yom ben Abbas was very
Right. Okay, it's very interesting. Okay, maybe it's some like it could be a neshamadik Indian lamaila that we have no idea what it means or whatever. Right. It was Toyu, which is higher than Tikkun and this and that.
I think if Yaakov would have given Dina to Esau, he would have turned